opportunity to have interaction with you. Now, the topic which I am going to take up is it's easy way to entrepreneurship. And uh, believe me, like Alhamdulillah, I have been an entrepreneur for last 8-10 years. Before that, I had around 12 years of corporate experience. So, Alhamdulillah, I have been enjoying each day and moment of this entrepreneurial journey. And I want that each one among us should become an entrepreneur, because this is something which Allah also desires us to be. So I start my presentation. Is it I hope that this is visible to you and I am audible to you. Please respond in your comment box whether I am audible or not. Okay, so I presume that I am audible. So we will continue inshallah. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem, amma ba'd. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I'm going to start my presentation with a very inspiring and very uh, informative story. Now, this story I'm going to narrate here. This slide just mentions about this story. So, there was a town in a place, and there was a very pious man there who used to pray to Allah every minute and second of day and night, and he was really very pious. And this man got a dream one day that in your town there is a trader who is much better than you in sight of Allah. Now I will repeat this statement. There was a very pious man in a particular town, and he once gets a dream that there is a trader in that particular town who is more acceptable, more close, and more liked by Allah as compared to this pious man. Now, this pious man got very, see, like a person has been devoting his whole day and nights into praying Allah, and he was expecting that Allah would be accepting him, Allah would be liking him. But then he gets a dream that there is another person who is a trader and whom Allah likes more. So now this person gets curious, bit annoyed also, and then this person decides, this pious man decides that I should go and inquire and research what is the reason that this trader is being liked more as compared to me. So this man went to that person's place, trader's place, and started observing. Now, while observation, he couldn't find anything unique, anything peculiar, anything distinguishing, on the basis of which this pious man could conclude that these are the reasons because of which trader is liked more. So, after 2-3 days of rigorous observation, this pious man couldn't get any clue what was the reason that Allah liked this trader more. So there was no option left, but this pious man went to that trader and asked him that I have been narrated in my dream that you are a person who is liked more by Allah as compared to me, and I have devoted my whole life in praying Allah, and I have been doing so many uh, prayers and all, and I don't know what exactly is the reason that you are being liked more. So this trader laughs, and then out of his excitement, he asks this pious man, I would definitely tell you the reason for this, but I have a condition. If in case you fulfill my condition, I'll let you know the answer. So pious man was having no option but to accept that challenge, his condition, and he accepted. Now, the condition was that this pious man had to move from one place to another place, which was far distant, walking, and he has to come back within a stipulated time. And further condition was that this pious man had to take a mercury ball on a flat platter along the way. Now try to understand this. Condition is that a pious man has to move from one point to another point, which is bit distant, and he has to come back in a stipulated time. If in case he doesn't comes in stipulated time, the condition won't be fulfilled, and so he won't be getting any answer. Second condition is that this man has to carry a mercury ball. Now, as we all know, mercury doesn't have its shape. It's an element which doesn't have its shape, and if in case we keep it in a flat platter, chances are that ball will keep on rolling. There is a chance that ball could go down, fall from that platter. So that pious man had to control that platter in such a way that mercury ball doesn't fall below. Now this is second tough condition. So as he had accepted this condition, this challenge, he started this thing, and out of lot of efforts and things, that pious man was somehow able to complete that whole challenge, that condition. And he once he returns back, the trader asked this pious man a question, and that question is very meaningful. Trader asked that person, the pious man, from the time you started from this point and to the point you reached to that and the time you reached that particular point where you had to reach, and from there onwards till the time you reach this place, was there a single second in your whole journey that you could remember Allah? Now this is a very big meaningful question. This trader asked this pious man, okay, in the whole journey which he went through, the challenging journey, was there a single moment in which this pious man could think about Allah? And the obvious answer was, pious man replied very instantly, that there was not a single moment where I could remember Allah, because I was always focused on my speed, my mercury, and my destination. So, and time within which I had to complete this whole task. So the point of conclusion here is, what I want to convey, what I want to share with you people is that a person might be working as an employee, might be working as an entrepreneur, might be fulfilling different roles in life. The sincerity with which we are doing it and the level of our connect with Allah is something which is very meaningful. And this story tells that man whom neither trade nor sale business diverts from the remembrance of Allah with heart and tongue, nor from performing a salah, iqama salah, nor from giving the zakah. They fear a day when hearts and eyes will be overturned out of the horror of torment of day of resurrection, that Allah may reward them according to the best of their deeds and add even more for them out of His grace. Now, this is what is the message I want to communicate, I want to convey, I want to share, I want to uh, communicate with all of us, all of you, that entrepreneurship is no doubt one of a very big, crucial uh, uh, process which we might all be interested in, and we might all be in probably. But along with this entrepreneurial journey, along with our whatever we are doing, if in case we are attached close with Allah and we are remembering Allah and we are working or we are behaving in a way which Allah
Excuse
prescribes
me,
us,
Dr.
that
Zubair
is
sir,
something which is very
you have to
important.
change the slide. You
Yes.
uh, is the slide has to be changed?
No, I'm changing it.
No, we are
Is it okay?
no, we are seeing only the first one. Yeah, now it is changing.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this is a story which I wanted to share with you before this starting my presentation. Now, as we all are going to discuss about entrepreneurship, now in this whole presentation, there is nothing which I have taken from any book or from any research reference. This is all what I have been thinking and uh, working upon. Now, entrepreneurship is something wherein we identify opportunity, then mobilize requisite resources, and then capitalize on this opportunity. Now, if we read it in a single go, to identify an opportunity and then mobilize requisite resources to capitalize on this opportunity. This is what is entrepreneurship. Now, if we uh, go deep into this, there are three critical things which are generally involved in entrepreneurship. First is identifying opportunity, second is mobilizing resources, and third is to capitalize on this opportunity. Now, this is something which we all need to understand. I would like to quote an example here. We all might be knowing about Abdurrahman bin Auf, a famous Sahabi who is amongst one of the Ashra Mubashira, who has been uh, given this good uh, news of Jannah in life only. Now, Abdul Rahman bin Auf has been a very big, good entrepreneur. And during the time of Hijrat, once Sahabis migrated from Medina to Makkah to Medina, he was a very big businessman at that time of Makkah. But once he had to fled Makkah, he left everything behind. And once he reached Medina, he was having nothing with him. No resources, no money, no wealth. And there is a famous story wherein the Ansar who was attached, who was associated with Abdul Rahman bin Auf, he offered him his wealth and other things. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf just asked him. He told him that uh, Allah should accept your good deeds and all, but just let me know where is the market, and that is enough for me. And it is a history that once Abdul Rahman bin Auf reached market, he was having such a good knack for identifying opportunities that he became a big, wealthy businessman within very short time, reaching Medina and reaching that market. So then, what I'm trying to say is to identify an opportunity is very big characteristics for a successful entrepreneur. And along with this, once we have identified any opportunity, we need to mobilize resources in order to convert this opportunity into a meaningful business or a venture. Yes. So this is what is mobilizing resources. And here I want to put in one experience of mine. We always think that for starting a venture, we might be requiring a lot of money, a lot of human resources, a lot of technical resources. All those things are definitely needed for a business. But then once we are a true believer of Allah and we have full faith in Allah, we should always have a feel that resources are all belonging to Allah, and Allah is an entity who could provide us with n number of resources if in case He wishes. So, if in case we have a strong belief in Allah and we start something having belief on Allah, then it is for sure that the resources which are required for in cashing upon any opportunity, they would definitely be there for us. Allah will provide those things for us. And this has been happening with me, Alhamdulillah, so many times. Alhamdulillah, now I'm on verge of starting my fourth venture. And in all these ventures, I've been blessed, I've been uh, bestowed with all those kind of blessings of Allah, that with no money I started my first business, and I was uh, able to get a majority share of this business without spending a single money from my pocket. And that is something which happens many a times and with most of us. So if in case we have firm belief in Allah, probably these resources are not to be concerned about, not to be bothered about. Resources will definitely, inshallah, come in if in case we have strong faith in Allah. The major thing is we should we should be in position, we should develop our capabilities, our skill sets in identifying opportunity, because once we are able to do it, probably we would be in position to start our ventures. And once resources are mobilized, for example, I need to start a restaurant, and for that restaurant, I need some people to run the operation. I need machinery and equipment. I need a place. I need money. So these are the resources which are required to start that particular kind of restaurant. So for a particular business, for a particular venture, we have different sets of resources required, and that is what is to be mobilized for starting that particular business or capitalizing on that particular opportunity. Moving ahead, these entrepreneurial ventures are of two types. First is for profit, which is business, of course, where we have commercial interest. And second category is of for bigger profits, which are social causes, social entrepreneurship, wherein we are working towards empowering, we are working towards benefiting our fellow human beings, and in turn we not only get profits for ourselves, but we get bigger profits. Allah blesses us and guides us towards big things. And if in case we categorize these entrepreneurial ventures in terms of timings, then few ventures are long lasting and few ventures are short tenured. For example, if I quote you an example, that I come across an opportunity wherein there is a company which has got requirement for 500 people, 500 workers, and those people they require, they ought to be trained on particular skill set. So this is a very short term opportunity. In case I'm willing to work upon it, what I'll do, I'll first try to rope in 500 to 600 people. What will I do? I'll train them on that particular skill set, and then I'll connect them to that company. And once they are connected, they might get employed, and this becomes a kind of short-term entrepreneurial venture, wherein I'm working towards gaining the acceptance of Allah. So this is the particular categorization of entrepreneurial ventures. Now, importance. This is very important because most of us who are in this webinar today, either we are inclined towards entrepreneurship, or we are ourselves an entrepreneur, or we look forward to it. So in my view, it is very important to be an entrepreneur. And the first and the foremost reason is it is sunnah. I don't need to explain it. Second point, barakah. Like, it is a well-known fact that 90% and above barakat, which is blessed by Allah, is in business or is in trading. And that is something which we do in entrepreneurship. So this is one of the very salient factors because of which we ought to become an entrepreneur. Third point, growth. And if we compare, like, I'm not saying that employees are bad, because I've been an employee for almost more time as compared to my entrepreneurial journey. I've been an employee for almost 12 years. Then I became an entrepreneur. So I don't say that employment is bad, but what I say is, once you are an entrepreneur, you have more chances of becoming, or you have more growth chances. You can start one venture simultaneously. You could start second venture. You could expand your venture. You could do it globally. You could rope in a lot of partners into it. You could scale up the whole operation. There are n number of opportunities for growth in entrepreneurship as compared to employment, and that is what makes it salient. And as I talked about opportunities, we come across so many things and we want to do something, but once we are an employee, we have a compulsion towards our organization. We are bounded. We can't do much uh, except the permissible limits which have been assigned to us. So once we are in on verge of entrepreneurship, we are an entrepreneur. We have n number of opportunities to encash upon, to work upon, and that is one of the salient features for becoming an entrepreneur. And as we know, like, if we compare, like if we talk about governments, we talk about macroeconomic factors, we talk about supporting ecosystem, we talk about other factors in macroeconomic arena. Entrepreneurship is always preferred as compared to other avenues of livelihood. And last but not the least, reforms. Like if we compare the initial ages of spread of Islam in Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's time, the people who were targeted initially were mostly prominent businessmen, and the people who came into the folds of Islam in earlier stages were mostly businessmen, and these businessmen were the people who sponsored the whole movement. Hazrat Khadija was in fact one of a big businesswoman, and she is the first person to accept Islam after Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So what I'm trying to say is that once you are a businessman, once you are an entrepreneur, you have more chances of contributing to the reforms of society and community as compared to being in other forms of livelihood. So this is the importance. Now, this is very important and this is very common. I'm not discussing anything from any book or any reference material. This is something which I believe in, on which I work, and Alhamdulillah, I also teach this particular things to my trainees, whom I do conduct a lot of trainings around. So, if we divide this whole process of entrepreneurship, it is nothing but five-phased process. First stage is we need to recognize opportunity or we need to generate idea. And this is something very common. Like anybody who is into any particular occupation, any phase of life could always recognize opportunity. And that is very, very common. Like anybody could do it. Alhamdulillah, I'm training four ladies. There is one venture which I have recently floated, which is Faroghe Tijarat, and in that Faroghe Tijarat, what we are doing is we are empowering the people from marginal segment to become employable. And one of the trades which we are conducting in this Faroghe Tijarat is entrepreneurship development. So, Alhamdulillah, I have got four trainees. They all are ladies. Three are housewives. One is bachelor, and all four of them, they have been doing wonderfully into the training which I am conducting. And this is the same format which I am conducting with them also. We have almost completed our idea generation phase. We are about to start our market testing phase, and then inshallah we'll be preparing our business plans. So what I'm trying to say is this is a common, well accepted process of entrepreneurship. We all need to first opportunity do the opportunity recognition. We need to generate idea for our business. And in this phase, it is always advisable that we should have 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 ideas which we think are something related to us and which we think where we could have good opportunity for business. And that is what we need to do. Once we have created a list of these ideas, second step is to test them, whether these ideas have relevance, whether they have viability, whether market is going to accept that particular idea. Because once idea is there, we need to develop a concept around that idea, business concept. Now, this business concept needs to be tested in terms of viability and in terms of market acceptability. And out of this exercise, second step, once we are through with the second step, whichever ideas are screened, which are sieved out of this testing process, those ideas should be taken up for business planning, third phase, wherein we develop not only operational plan for a business, but we also do financial planning for a business. What exactly would be the money required for starting that business, capital expenses, working capital expenses, equipments, infrastructure, human resource. So all those kind of resources which are required for initiating this business, they come under the planning phase and they are all part of business plan. So business plan is something which we all very much know about. It is a detailed plan which guides us towards starting a business in a professional manner. And once this business plan is prepared, we move towards mobilizing resources for this particular business. For example, as I was talking about, if in case we have to start a restaurant, and in that restaurant we need to have five people, two cooks, three service boys, two service boys, and one cleaning staff. Now these are five people who are mandatorily required for starting that restaurant. So that is one resource which we have to mobilize. Apart from it, we need to have kitchen equipments, we need to have service equipments, we need to have uh, place done in form of interiors, air conditioning, lightning, those things. So all those are the required things which are required, which are mandatory for starting that restaurant, and that is what is the things which comes under our planning phase in our business plan. Once we have developed our business plan thoroughly and in a professional manner, we need to take out the resources which we need for our business out of this business plan, and then we need to mobilize these resources. Once we have mobilized these resources, we are going to start or launch our business. And this is a very common sense thing. There's nothing like we need to go to entrepreneurship development cell or an incubator or an accelerator to start our business. This is something which everybody knows and which everybody could do. So this is what is the beauty of entrepreneurship. A common man could do it, and common man is doing it. And I have seen so many entrepreneurs, so many businesses who are illiterate, and they are minting huge money out of their business, following good business practices, ethical practices. So that is what is the beauty. Now, important factors for becoming an entrepreneur. What all are the important factors which I consider personally to be important? And once we go through this list, it doesn't have huge writing in it. It only has few indicative points. First thing and the foremost thing is that we need to dive, we need to start. If in case I train a person how to swim, I train a person that you could start swimming, and you go through a 1 month training session. And in that whole 1 month, I let that person know in and out of swimming on paper and pen. And I don't ask that individual to go dive into swimming pool and then start working. Then probably I don't think like that after 1 month of very hard and very focused training, that individual would learn how to swim, because till the time that person dives into the swimming pool and starts moving his hands and feet in that swimming pool, he or she won't learn how to swim, and that is very important. So for an entrepreneurial venture, for becoming an entrepreneur, it is very important that we start. And another very meaningful and very uh, purposeful thing which is very prevalent in today's time is in intrapreneurship. IN, instead of ENTRA, it is IN. So intrapreneurship, you all people might be aware of, being in an organization, working within an organization in whatever capacity, whatever roles you are working in, you could start your own venture along with that organization's consent. And that is what many of the big corporations, they emphasize upon, and they also promote that if in case anybody, any employee they have, has a knack for entrepreneurship and wants to start some venture of his or her own, then those organizations support those individual employees to start those ventures under the purview of that particular umbrella of organization. And that is also possible. It might be applicable to you or not, I don't know, but then that is very much possible. In that case, we don't need to take the complete risk of leaving our well-paid jobs and entering into some field which is unknown to us, which is uh, uh, black in current time. So what I'm saying is, if in case you want to start doing, you want to do entrepreneurship, you want to become an entrepreneur, it is very important that you start. And this start might not be that you just leave your job and then come into this field. There are n number of options available wherein you might continue earning your decent salaries, continue doing your job, and alongside you start your entrepreneurial venture. I know one of my friends is there. He is a teacher in management college. His wife is again a teacher in some school, and both of them, husband wife, they have some extra money always along with them because they have good earnings and they have less spending. So they always have idle money with them. So it has been their practice that they are investing that idle money into different businesses. Now venture capitalists, angel investors, and those kind of people have recently evolved. But these friend of mine, they have been investing their idle money since last 20 years into different ventures, and they earn out of those investments. They provide the budding entrepreneurs with that requisite amount of money because they have idle money with them, and out of that money they earn dividends, and they are doing very successful business in the last 20 years. They have earned huge money out of those investments, and this is very much possible. So it is not like that you only need to stop doing your current occupation and then only you could become entrepreneur. There are so many ways through which you could become an entrepreneur, and that is very much possible. Second point, as is mentioned, is open mind. Like, we need to be very open, and this is very important because many a time it happens that we hire somebody and then we doubts come in our mind that probably this person won't be feasible, won't be viable, won't be effective, won't be productive. So but we have hired, and we want we can't continue doing our business till the time we put faith on others. We believe in others, and for that we need to have an open mind. We need to give those people some chance, some time, so that we may come to know whether that is a right decision or wrong decision. But then we need to have an open mind. Third and very crucial aspect is risk taking, and this is very important. Many times it happens that because we are not in position to take risk, we don't have that propensity to take risk. We generally skip a lot of lucrative opportunities, and that is something very disturbing for an entrepreneurial venture. So risk taking should be there, although it is always prescribed that we should have a calculated risk. We should take calculated risk, and that is something which is another area which needs to be discussed in length. What are calculated risks and all? But then we should have this propensity to take risk. Fourth, innovate, and this is again very required, very much required for entrepreneurship. We need to innovate. Like, I was just before this session, I was going through a video from one of a very renowned motivational speaker, and he told that it is very important that we should have a very light kite. In order that that kite could fly high, we need to make it light, and that same applies to organizations. We need to create models which are light, which have lesser uh, liabilities, which have lesser responsibilities, and which are more scalable. So now, in order to do these kind of things, we definitely need to innovate. We need to have our minds, we need to have a team, we need to have a people, have this tendency for innovation. Apart from it, we need to co-create, and this is again very important. One of the very rule or juz of Islam, like, it promotes unity, it promotes synergy, and many a times we just want to do things individually. We want to think, we know we want to keep things aloof. We want to hide them from our siblings, from our friends and other people, so that nobody comes to know that we are into this thing. And these things are very uh, important in case of entrepreneurship. We need to co-create. We need to synergize. We need to bring in people with different capabilities and competencies. We need to have faith on them. We need to promote them. We need to motivate them, and simultaneously co-create things. Like, it might be a case that I am good in business side and I am not having much of exposure of technology. So if in case I don't co-create, There are n number of opportunities which I can never think about because I don't have this tendency for co-creation or synergizing or collaboration. So it is very important that we should always have this scope for co-creation. Faith, again, one of very important aspect. It might be a case that you only have 10,000 rupees in your pocket, and at that time you have some personal needs to fulfill, and at that same time you have some professional assignment wherein you need to invest money. Now here comes the question of faith. It, like, if a businessman is into this situation, probably he will invest into that business and will uh, have a faith that this investment will reap in more returns, and then I will be in better position to fulfill my personal needs. And that is what is faith. Like faith in Allah, faith in opportunity, faith in himself, faith in the environment. So that is very important for an entrepreneur to have faith. And last but not least, we all need to be very positive and hopeful. And this is something which is very important for any entrepreneur. Like I've been talking about so many things about entrepreneurship, and I do hope and wish that after this presentation there will be a lot of queries and questions coming in, because that is something which is very important for me, because that ensures that that makes me confident that yes, I am able to communicate something to my audience. So coming to the last slide, this is practical solution. Like for example, Hitler once said, although I don't believe in philosophy of Hitler, but then I always quote this quote of Hitler, which says, "It is very important that you decide fast. Time will tell whether that decision is right or wrong." And for business and for any successful entrepreneur, this ability to decide fast is very important, because if in case you decide slow, probably you will miss the opportunity. So what I'm saying is, being a practical follower, practical Muslim, Islam has created a lot of positive support for an entrepreneur. First thing, if in case we have complete faith and hope in Allah, then Allah says in Quran, if my like I could quote it in Hindi, अगर मेरा बंदा मुझ पर यकीन करके किसी काम का अहद करे तो मैं उसकी गैब से भी मदद करता हूँ. And this is something very practical. Like I told you, my first venture, we invested around 20 lakh rupees into that venture, and I was fortunate to get 51% of that whole share of equity in that private limited company, and I invested zero money into that business. And this is nothing but the karam of Allah. So if in case we have this complete faith and hope in Allah, then probably it is very easy for any person to become an entrepreneur. Second most important thing is common sense. Now, we definitely need to do financial projections, we need to do financial modeling, we need to work around financial ratios, we need to plan, we need to do a lot of managerial functions into this whole entrepreneurial journey. But then they all are learnable, they all could be learned, and they are all arising out of common sense. There is nothing in management which is out of common sense. So if in case a person has common sense, is able to develop his or her abilities for common sense, probably that person could become a very successful entrepreneur. And this is very much applicable. I am telling all these things out of my experience. Although, Alhamdulillah, I am a PhD in management, I have researched on agri entrepreneurs, but then those aspects are something which I generally consider while doing my consulting assignments. During these kind of sessions, I generally speak out of my heart, and this is what I'm doing. Third point is again very important. We ought to have some mentor, or we ought to have some consulting support with us, because many a times we might be competent in functional aspects of business. Like for example, there is somebody who is having very good knowledge of programming, or who has got good knowledge of artificial intelligence or robotics or IoT or all the new technologies which are prevailing in today's time. But then that person might not be having business acumen. So this person might be good in terms of technical aspects of business, but then business aspects need to be worked upon, and for that we ought to have some mentor or a consulting support. And another option is that we could rope in some partner who has got business skills with him or her, so that makes a good collaborative effort, wherein one person is taking care of business who is experienced into it, and another person is taking care of technical aspect who is expert into that particular aspect. So this is very important. Decision making, as I talked about Hitler, it is again very important, and we are really very fortunate that we have been blessed with this tool of istikhara. Like, it is a sunnat. Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to prescribe istikhara to sahabis on many occasions. He himself used to do it, and this is something which we also should do while taking our decisions in business and in personal life, and that makes decision making very simple. Once we put in our faith, our decision in Allah's side, in Allah's hand, then we ought to be very confident that whatever happens is going to happen good for us. And that is one of a very blessed tool which we have been blessed with. Once we have taken decision, we have decided on something, we need to put in best of our efforts into it. And this is again really very important, because till the time we are not focused, we are not putting in our best of efforts, probably we are not going to get the desired results. And in entrepreneurship, and especially in initial phases of entrepreneurship, this efforts required are very, very high. Like, we need to put in at least a lot of efforts into our venture. And once we are able to do it, once our venture reaches above the scale of break even, probably then it's time that we start delegating things to the team. We start developing team. We are in position to hire team members, competent team members. So all those things start becoming easier. But then in initial phase, the entrepreneurial journey is very tough. And for that, we need to put in best of our efforts. We need to synergize, because till the time we synergize, we can't succeed. Because in today's time, it is not like that we create the whole business model ourselves. It is like capitalizing on the competencies which we have, building our core competencies, and encashing on those core competencies in making those business models scalable globally. That is what is being done. So in this scenario, it is very important that we synergize. If we synergize, we synergize with open minds, and we synergize in a professional manner. We contribute our bit of contribution into that collaboration. Probably things will be much better as compared to doing things alone. And last but not the least, we all need to evaluate whatever we are doing on every weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, because
Excuse me, Dr. Zubair sir.
Yes.
Are we still on the important factors slide, or you need to go to the next one?
No, I am on practical solutions.
Okay, thank you.
Practical solutions, and this is the last slide which I have to cover. After this, I have this slide which asks for questions. So, is it clear, Sabai?
Yeah, now it's changed. Okay, thank you.
This slide was again there once I was discussing it. Okay, so now this is something which we need to do. We need to have complete faith. We need to have common sense. We need to have a mentor or consulting support. We need to have we need to take quick decisions, fast decisions. We need to put in best of our efforts. We need to synergize, and we always need to evaluate our functioning. This is very important, very practical thing which are required for an entrepreneurial journey. With this, I end up my presentation. I request the participants to come up with the queries, and inshallah we'll like to discuss them. Thank you. Hello?
Yeah.
Do we have any questions?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, actually, I have the problem. Like, I did the partnership, just like you said that for example, we don't have the business skills, so at that moment we should collaborate with someone, and then after we can be a successful one. So I did the same thing with one of my partner. I am a developer, so I have those skills. I developed that specific software. But at the end, I was thinking that the business guy who was with me, so he was trying to, I mean, get all the things so that at some point of time, I become dependent on him. And then after he fired me out. So that's why I broke up with him, and right now I have that specific code of the software. I am completely independent from him. So now I needed business uh, related advices. So how I would able to manage this, because I cannot able to trust the other one. So how what are the things which you will recommend me that can help me to judge the other person who is becoming my partner, so that I become more trustable, and in that way we could continue the business.
See, I quote you one of my practical example.
Yes.
What's your good name, sir?
Sir, my name is Muhammad Ramzan.
Hello?
Muhammad Ramzan.
Ramzan bhai, I quote you one example. Okay, Mohammed Ramzan bhai, I quote you one example. I was referred to one of a businessman in Delhi, and I was referred to him by one of my friends who is again a businessman in Saudi. So
Uh-huh.
this businessman in Delhi, he wanted to start an open air restaurant. Okay, and
Okay.
my friend in Saudi, he referred me that this is a competent guy. If in case he comes in, your whole purpose of starting a successful open air restaurant would be solved.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, am I
Hello.
audible?
Yes, now audible.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
what I'm quoting you, it is a live example. So now this person who was wanting this open air restaurant to be started in Delhi, he had a hotel in Delhi, on top of which on the rooftop he wanted to start this open air restaurant. Okay,
Okay.
now I told very adamantly that I could only come in if in case there is a partnership equation. I won't be coming in as an employee. So they agreed to it, and we three opted to become partners. My friend in Saudi, he was investing partner. The person in Delhi, he had this place, and he want that place was to be developed into an open air restaurant. And I was the person who was supposed to do all the technical and operational aspects of that open air restaurant. So
Okay.
once we three entered into that agreement, into that equation, this friend, this businessman man from Delhi, and he did a very practical thing. He said, whatever you want from this partnership, write it down, all the points.
Okay.
Okay, and similar that thing I will do myself. And he also asked my friend in Saudi to write down all his whims and fancies, whatever he wanted and whatever he could contribute. Like we developed a very stringent and very thorough partnership deed out of our all three's interest. Yeah, whatever I wanted, I wrote down. Whatever those two people wanted, they wrote down, and then we we club all those information, all that information into a document where all the points were taken care of. Okay, so what happened was that a justifiable equation happened. Okay,
Okay.
now, like, as you are a developer, you need a business acumen, you need a partner who could do business for you, who could develop this whole innovative solution into a viable business. There are
Yes.
n number of options. It is not only that you could only get partner, you could only do it through partner. You could tie up with some professional organization which is
Uh-huh.
into marketing, yeah, and you could get your work done. So it is not like that you only ought to have a partner, but then once you are entering into partnership, you ought to write down each and every expectation and contribution which a partner is going to bring in. Okay. Once you have
Okay.
done it, you need to take out, like, you need to do a kind of say, वो मेरी expectation कुछ है, आपकी expectation कुछ है, and both the expectations are not matching. So we need to come on common ground. Yeah. That common ground needs to be written down in the partnership deed. Yes, this is what I'm going to do, and in lieu of this functioning, I'm going to get this. Understanding? So
Yes.
if in case we are able to do this kind of detailed documentation, detailed assessment, and detailed discussion before we enter into partnership, probably things will move very smooth. And what I'm trying to relate to you is through this example, once we develop that partnership deed, once that whole deed was developed, this businessman from Delhi, he is again a friend of mine now. He said, we all three will keep a copy of this partnership deed with us, but then we'll keep it in our safe boxes,
Okay.
and we'll work as a brother. Okay, now this deed is only for the time once we have any conflict. But once we are working, we'll work as a brother. Like it won't be a case that if I spend more on something, other two partners are going to ask me why you spend so much. Yeah,
Yes.
so they need to give me a kind of liberty. They need to give me a kind of autonomy. They need to give me a kind of power, authority. That yes, if in case I am spending 2 rupees more than what was planned, then that is acceptable to those two people, and then only partnership works. Because if in case we start looking into every small uh, petty thing out of our partners functioning, then we never move ahead, believe me. So in many cases it happens that people are not fair to their commitments, and
Yes.
in those situations partnership should definitely be broken, because we can't work with uh, like corrupt partners. Yeah, but in case partner is justified, partner is genuine, partner is honest, and in case there is some deviation coming out of actual performance, we should be willing to accommodate those kind of deviations. Then only our partnership may work. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, one thing I wanted to point out here, वो रीजन ये था जिसकी वजह से ब्रोकन हुआ हमारा डील के उस भाई ने मतलब मुझे और भी ज्यादा प्रोजेक्ट्स मिलते थे क्योंकि मैं डेवलपर था, वो कंटेंट राइटर था, उसको प्रोजेक्ट्स नहीं मिलते थे, तो वो मुझे खुद का काम नहीं करने देता था। ऐसा है, वो बोलता था करें तो पूरा दिन तू यही काम करेगा, नहीं तो अपना काम नहीं करेगा, मतलब जीलियसनेस। दैट्स व्हाई he was not interested to make me
See,
more ahead.
no,
Yes.
I don't deny this, but what I'm saying is that in a partnership we need to be more accommodative. Like we
Yes.
need to have open hearts for our partners. Like in
Yes.
your case, as you are saying, it was unjustified thing, because since you have a better potential for earning projects and all,
Yes.
probably you should have a partner who is open to work on that and who is open to capitalize on that equation. Because if in case you are getting more developers project, probably that partner could also get benefited out of it, and it is
Yes.
only a question of thought process. Like that partner might not be that open that he could accommodate your projects and your things into that business. Probably it might be a case. So
Yes.
my
Yes.
submission is, it is not like that you only can do it through partnership. You could rope in, you could tie up with some professional organization who are specifically working on marketing.
Yes.
Yeah, you work, you give them a target, like you do a kind of annual contract with them, that this is the expected business which I expect from you, and this is the proportionate revenue or proportionate profit which I'm going to share with you in lieu of this marketing. So this is again an equation which is very much feasible for you.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Got
Thanks
it.
a lot.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
What is
Yes.
the platform for pitching in ideas? And
Can you just
suppose we have an idea, where do we pitch in this idea, and how do we make sure that it is not hijacked?
see, the thing is, there is a kind of contradiction. Like in there are two parallel worlds floating around in today's time. One world is of startups, yeah, wherein we have uh, ideas being promoted, ideas being discussed, pitched, and then we have the propose like funding coming in, equity or angel or whatever, you know. And another world is of conventional entrepreneurial world, wherein we generally don't go in uh, for pitching of our ideas. We just start with some basic business format, makes it like initial traction is achieved, and then we scale it up. So I would like to explain these two things here, so that it becomes a better, like it is understood better. See, it is not always recommended that we should all only go for seeking investment into our business ideas, because if you compare a lot of companies which are uh, doing good business, they don't pitch their ideas to the investors. They try to capitalize on those ideas, and they try to convert those ideas into substantial business by their own, by themselves, either bootstrapping or pulling in their own resources. And once those ideas get transformed into some viable business, then they look in for either public uh, like funding, or pitching to investors and other things. Now, this is very important to understand, because once we have some idea and we are pitching it to investors, we are not in position to negotiate, and we are in position to take up what is coming to us. So initially, if in case somebody is going in for investments, for professional investments, then the equity share which is being asked for is very high. And usually it happens that till the time you have a substantial position in business, you have lost majority of your equity share of your business. And then you don't have the controlling power of the business. And many cases, like if we study many unicorns and other such businesses, the founders of those businesses, they had to quit those business after some time, because their equity share had become such a low proportionate. Now they were not in controlling position, and since they couldn't control their businesses, they either opted out or they were forced out. So what I'm saying is, it is not only an option that once we have some lucrative business idea, we should go in for pitching it. It is always advisable. Like I am a partner with a big organization which is Lemon Ideas, and they have been operating, they have been functioning since last 7 years, and they had not gone into any kind of investment pitching, although they run a very huge competition which is entrepreneurs, and it is being run in almost 9 countries. So they promote people to pitch in their ideas, but this company has never pitched its idea to anybody. They have been doing it by bootstrapping and managing their own internal resources. Understanding? So
Yes.
one thing is that it is not the only option that once we have an idea, we should pitch it. Preferred thing is that once we have some lucrative idea, we should try to convert that idea into a meaningful business by our own resources, by bringing in friends money, by bringing in relatives money, taking that money on loan, or giving them some proportionate shares, or there are n number of options available. So my submission is, the first thing, we should avoid pitching it to others. In case we are pitching it, we should always keep it in mind that the person who has conceived any idea is the only person who is in better position to implement that idea. Nobody else who is getting that idea out of some competition or out of some other reference is going to do justice to that idea in that manner as that person has evolved that idea about. So means we should never have a fear that that idea will be got stolen or something. If in case we are pitching it, we should pitch it with full conviction. We should try to develop that idea into a viable, lucrative business concept before we pitch into any investor, because investors are not interested in ideas. They are interested in the returns which they are going to get out of that idea. So till the time you develop this idea into a detailed concept, it is not worth to pitch it. So submission is that this idea should be converted into a viable concept, and that concept should be fearlessly pitched, because uh, you can never stop your idea being stolen. Somebody else might steal it, but then you always have a chance that once you are implementing, you beat your competition by bringing in a lot of innovation and value addition into your concept. And that is what you have to continuously do with your business. Otherwise, you will automatically faint. So hope this answers your question.
Yeah.
There was one query on chat box which mentioned about idea evaluation of feasibility. That is it something to be taken up? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Dr. Zubair Sahab, I have a question. This is Shams here. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, so for some of the homemaker women, right, they keep asking what they can do, right? Do we have any small ideas that they can maybe start using? Maybe anything, right? Any basic ideas that you can suggest for
I,
homemakers?
I'll give you another live example,
Yeah.
and that is my wife. Huh?
Mhm.
I've been motivating her, like we are alhamdulillah happily married since last 13 years. From initial day of my marriage, I've been motivating her to become an entrepreneur. But like she had those responsibilities of kids and things. So for for 6 7 years, she was not in position to think about anything. And she always used to tell me, "You do whatever you want, but don't force me for anything. I'm not going to follow anything which you are prescribing." Okay. And so I accepted that particular thing, and I said, "Okay, leave her on her own." Now, 4 5 years back, one day she asked me that I want to start teaching in a school, and I want to contribute to the society by doing this. So, Alhamdulillah, I supported her. She became a teacher in one of a school. Then she asked me for NTT. She did her NTT. She asked me for B.Ed. She did her B.Ed. Alhamdulillah, she's continuing as a school teacher in today's time, and it has almost been 4 years. Now, I talk about this entrepreneurial venture. So 1.5 years back, before lockdown, she asked me that I need to transfer money to some of the vendors who are sending her few hijabs. So I asked, inquired, what exactly are you going to do? She said, I am starting my business. And Alhamdulillah, she started a business. Initially, she took my help. And earlier times, I used to send money to the vendors who used to supply those hijabs to her. What she do? She has a connect on WhatsApp and Instagram and other social handlers where she has got people who are connected to her, and she is connected to people who are into selling those hijabs on a bulk basis, those who are manufacturers or wholesalers in different parts of country. So what happens, those people, they send their new products with photographs and other things to her. She in turn circulates those photographs to her prospective audiences, you know? And out of those audiences, people start giving her some orders. And once they order, they also pay her that you just give me these two hijabs. And the cost which she has mentioned, she naturally keeps some margin on her pricing, in her pricing. So she gets those that money from those people who are buyers, and she transfers that money to the wholesalers, who in turn courier those products to her, and then she supplies to the customers. Now this is very simple model. Herein we are not required to put in any money, we are not required to put in a lot of time, we are not required to put in a lot of resources. So this is very simple model where she is alhamdulillah doing it for last 1.5 years, and she is also earning suitably. Apart from it, there are n number of things, like for example, if a housewife is there, basically my opinion on this is that we need to work on the competencies and caliber of those individual ladies. Like it might be a case that some lady is good in cooking, so she could do something related to cooking. She might be good in creativity, so she could be trained towards becoming a creative professional. So my submission is, for any housewife, either belonging to say marginal section or belonging to well-to-do section, whatever, we need to do kind of detailed profiling of that individual, try to find out the characteristics, the competencies, the things which are there inherent into them, and we need to nurture those things into viable businesses. This is what could be done, and that is going to help the community and society very much. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, yes, Jazakallah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I take up that question which was there in chat box. Somebody has asked what to do for analyzing those business ideas. So, see, doing viability test or market research on all the ideas is not a viable thing. So, what we need to do is we need to first develop a big list of ideas, and that list could be 50, that list could be of 100 ideas. There is no harm in developing as big list as possible. So now, first we need to develop that list to the maximum. Once we have developed that list, we need to shortlist, we need to do a kind of evaluation of those ideas on various parameters, various factors. For example, I started my first venture because of my inclination towards food. I had so many experiences beforehand, and I had so many other opportunities to work upon. But since I was a very big foodie, and I am a very big foodie currently also, Alhamdulillah. So that was the biggest reason why I started my first venture, which is our food factory and services private limited. And I started a restaurant. So like that was my passion, which motivated me to go for that venture. So what I'm saying is the criteria need to be developed. Those criteria should be developed on the basis of individual preferences as well as on the basis of the market potentials. It depends. Like it is something which is subjective. We need to develop few criteria, like what I prefer the most. What is the thing which I would be working upon most interestingly. So these are kind of criteria which we need to develop, and we need to judge all those ideas on the basis of these criteria. So once we do this, the list will shorten down into few ideas. This is what is going to happen. Now those few ideas need to be evaluated in a professional manner. We have so many tools, we have so many practices through which we do market research, we do prospective customers analysis research. There are n number of things which we do, and based on that we do market viability tests, feasibility studies are done. There are so many things which are being done professionally to evaluate a particular idea for taking up for further process. So those things, they need to be done once we have shortlisted the list through implementing through criterias, and then we need to do all those kind of professional exercises to come up with the best idea. So this is probably the answer. Any other question?
Do we have any more questions or discussions from the audience?
Assalamu alaikum. This is Akbar here. Thanks for the wonderful session with the relevant examples and all. I have like a question, like if someone wants to start into this entrepreneurship and who doesn't have any like a background, anything at all, then is there any like what we call incubator, something where we can go and learn from the experts? Is there any such facility available nearby Bangalore or within Bangalore?
Should I answer this question?
Yeah, definitely, please.
May I know the name of the question asker?
Yeah, this is Akbar Ahmad.
Akbar bhai. Okay. See, Akbar bhai, I don't have much idea about Bangalore because I am based in UP. Huh? But then in today's time, this is not a limitation. Like there are n number of service providers, there are n number of institutions wherein you could directly get connected to. In case you are in Bangalore, you could get connected to some accelerator in US. You could get connected to an organization like us in Bareilly, UP. So means there is a lot of support mechanism available for anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur. The only condition is that that person should have a strong will to become an entrepreneur. Because if in case you have that strong will, there are thousands and thousands of sources which I could personally recommend to you, which are free sources wherein from where you could get all the requisite knowledge and expertise which is required to become a successful entrepreneur. But you need to devote your time, you need to devote your efforts, you need to have a strong inclination towards this particular aspect. If in case you have that and you have firm belief in Allah, probably you could get n number of support mechanisms in and around Bangalore as well as globally. Only thing is that you should have this inclination and you should be willing to work for it. For example, like it is again a relevant example, like you could always get in touch with us IFS. We do this kind of thing without any commercial interest. Initially we support people to develop their ideas, to come up with their ideas, and all those things are free. Once you want to take up our professional assistance services, then only we have a provision for service charge. So initially, you could always get in touch with us, and we'll always support you to, inshallah, come up with your ideas, develop them, do the testing, all those kind of things you could do. Plus, there is a lot of material available on internet, which you could always refer to. There is a competition which is Y Combinator. So if once you search that Y Combinator's content, it is such an extensive and beautiful content that any person who doesn't have a single idea about startup ecosystem could get through all the information which is required for becoming a big successful startup on that Y Combinator's website. And there are n number of such reference materials. So it is all available, widely available. Only thing is that we as an individual should be willing and should have that kind of uh, uh, real feel for this. Then, alhamdulillah, there is no limit for us. There is a lot of support available.
For the answer. So you said like you'll be having some sources. So Y Combinator is one of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you could also share some other stuff, other resources, then it would be helpful.
Definitely. See, you can always get in touch with us. We will keep on sharing you with the information. There is no harm.
And how what is the method how we can be in touch with you?
You could always send us a mail, or you could do me a WhatsApp. My number is 895. I have there. Okay, I'll write it down here. All people could get connected. I have sent it on chat box. This is my number, personal number, WhatsApp number. You could always get in touch. Okay, there is one question on chat box. It says how to tap government scheme for entrepreneurs. Okay, very good question. And as we know, government is trying hard to develop entrepreneurship and to support entrepreneurs. So the first and the foremost thing is that there is a government portal which is specifically meant for startups, and there is a provision for registering on that portal as a startup company. So for that we need to have a legal status of our organization. Either it should be a private limited company or public limited company, or if in case it's a partnership, it should be a registered partnership firm. Okay, so you ought to have a legal entity for your organization under which you want to do your business, you want to start your entrepreneurial journey, venture. So once you have that legal entity, you should register on that startup portal. Okay, I'll share the link for that portal on chat just now. Okay, and apart from it, every state government, there is a ministry which is MSME and entrepreneurship, and under that ministry there are n number of institutions which are running all over the country, and those institutions are supporting entrepreneurs. There are so many schemes. Like one scheme I am very much aware of, that is RKVY Raftar, and that scheme I have also been through. I have been a attendee, a participant of that scheme, in which they give worth 25 lakh rupees of seed funding for a business which has reached its minimum viable product, which is above that MVP stage. And for initial conception stage, they give up to 5 lakh rupees, and that is for any business related to agri business or allied businesses, agri and allied businesses. So, and apart from it, there are other a lot of ministries in government which are floating their respective entrepreneurial focus schemes. So basic thing is that for availing any of those benefits, availing any of those schemes, we need to be registered on Startup India, and that for that we need to have a legal status. So whosoever is willing to start reaping in benefits from government support mechanism ought to have a legal status. Apart from it, in whole of the country, there is a network of district industry centers. So these district industry centers, they are available in each and every district. Whichever district you name, we have a district industry center. And that district industry center acts as a kind of nodal agency for all those government schemes to be implemented in that particular district. We have a provision of Udyami Mitra. So in every state, there is a whole network of Udyami Mitra organizations who are there to support budding entrepreneurs in developing their concept and developing their business plans and developing their things. So these Udyami Mitra, they are being paid by government to support these entrepreneurs. So we need to get in touch with them. Like there is n number of support mechanism which is available through government for the entrepreneurs. Only thing is that we need to be aware of these things, and we need to uh, take them to the people. So that's it. Like if in case we have good rapport with people in DIC, then there are so many schemes. Only thing is, the criteria which is there is that most of the government support schemes, they carry a component of interest along with them. But apart from interest schemes, there are many schemes which have subsidy component, which have seed capital component, which doesn't involve any kind of bank financing. So there are things which we could explore. Like for example, a recent scheme has come up from Ministry of Food Processing, and it is applicable pan India. It is what is being done is that they have identified 73 districts in whole country. 730 districts in whole country, or 73, I'm not sure about the number. But then for each district they have identified a agriculture product, and in that district, if somebody is starting a food processing unit related to that product, government has got so many schemes supporting that venture, so that that venture becomes operational with very low margin money. So this is something which we all could explore. We all could get through, uh, and we should take benefit of these kind of schemes where we don't have to go for this conventional bank financing involving interest. Hope I have answered the question.
So I have a question.
Please.
So there are two parts to it. One is the market product market fit is what you mentioned, right? So these might be different for different areas. How do we what time frame do we plan in our business model to see whether the product market fit is viable or not, based on your experience? And second question is, as an entrepreneur, we don't have this fixed timeline. When you're in office, you work for a fixed schedule. As an entrepreneur, it's sometime 16 into 7. How does I mean, how's your experience with the family and setting up with the, as we grow older, we have more responsibilities with the children and the family as well. How does an entrepreneur adjust these kind of situations?
I would like to request you to repeat your first part because I couldn't understand that part.
Okay. The first one was product market fit, right? So when we have a product, we want to find out whether it has a fit for the market. So we need to set up some amount of time to check whether it basically the idea fits into the market, right? So is there a timeline which we need to define, and what was your experience with your timeline for checking whether it is a product market fit or not, from the ideation to the
Okay,
implementation
okay,
phase?
okay. So now, like the straight answer is that there is no such defined timeline. Yeah, it all varies. It is a very subjective phenomenon because, like, it might be a case that we have conceptualized a very bright, very innovative product idea, and a situation like COVID happens, and this is something which is out of control of anybody. And in this particular uh, phase, probably that product becomes obsolete. There is no scope for that product to be sold in market, and there are a number of examples for this. I hope you agree to this. Okay, so the straight answer is that there is no such well-defined timeline. It might be a case that that product idea which we have conceptualized, that might for a particular market, that market might become non-responsive to that product, but then we might explore some other geographical markets wherein that product has huge scope. So it is always like that, like we need to continuously move on. Like it might, like, there is a term which is very famous in this entrepreneurial context, which is pivoting. So we need to keep on pivoting our model every day, every second, every minute, probably. And I quote you a real life example from my recent venture, which is Faroga Tijarat. So in our planning phase, we planned that we would be training 50 trainees, keeping 10,000 rupees as a fees for training for a month. And once we have trained these 50 trainees, that will be a kind of pilot which we will conduct. After we have done it successfully, we will be launching a formal business. Now, having started that particular venture almost in December, it has been almost 5 months that we are not able to complete the training of 50 trainees. And initially, what all we had planned, that has all been disturbed, changed, and reworked upon in today's time. And still, there are chances that we need to pivot our model more. Like we need to incorporate a lot of other things which we had never expected to be there in market once we have planned. So what I'm trying to say is that there is no actual timeline for it. There is no actual guideline for it. It is all subjective. And the only answer is pivoting. Like it might be a case that we have initiated something, and that something is not acceptable in its actual form by the end customers, targeted customers. So the answer is we need to modify our product. We need to modify our solution service. Yes, that is what is answer to your first question. Probably it has I have
Yeah,
answered.
that makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, second question you asked, that is bit personal, but then the thing is that once you are doing it with full conviction and you have firm faith in Allah and all those things are there, positivity is there, things move according to you. Like as I told earlier, my wife was not willing to listen to me, and now alhamdulillah she is a successful entrepreneur. And she's not only an entrepreneur, she's also an employee, and she's also a good mother and other roles. So what I'm saying is that once you have that conviction and you have faith and you keep praying, and things like things move positively for you. It happens like there are many days in my life where I don't work. Like I am a kind of moody person. So many times it happens that for 2 3 days I don't work. I just keep roaming, meeting people and things. I don't work professionally. But then there are times when I have to work for almost around 20 hours in a day. And that is something which is now, like after 8 years of this whole journey, my kids, my parents, my wife, they've all accepted me the way I am. Getting it? So it happens in a, like, it doesn't happen abruptly. It happens in a slow and gradual manner. But then they should have a feel, yes, that you have a caring nature. You care for them. You are devoting your time on them. Once you have that time with you, so if in case you are genuine, you are honest, probably things will move in your favor in due course of time, inshallah.
Appreciate your input there. Jazakallah. Thank you. Makes sense.
Any other query?
So do we have any last questions from the audience? Okay, I think we are. Okay. Some last question maybe. Hello, is there any last question? Okay, I think we are close to the end of the session. So it has been a session from Dr. Zubair Saab, and mashallah, very good participation from the audience also. And in a very engaging manner and very simple words, we learned about how to go about our startups, about our ideas. So we all would like to thank Dr. Zubair Saab for taking out his time on Sunday and sharing his vast knowledge and experience with all of us. So inshallah, we will keep on having such expert talks in future also. So requesting all of us to take advantage of these upskilling sessions. Can please feel free to join, invite your friends, colleagues, relatives to these interesting and expert lectures. And if any one of you would like to share your knowledge also through this platform, just feel free to reach out to us and we can schedule your talk also. So,
Hello, sir.
Dr. Zubair, any last words from your side before we close?
Sir bhai, I'll just pray to Allah that Allah accept this particular time and effort, and things move positive for all of us, inshallah.
Yeah, sure.
Hello,
I
sir.
think we have one hand raised from Julie Agarwal. So please go ahead.
Sir, actually, sorry, my name is Muhammad Ramzan. So actually, one last question is like, as we have heard about that non-Muslim, we should not believe. So for example, they are coming up in our business. So at that moment, how we should build a trust? I mean, how we should trust on them? Or is there any certain things which you can recommend us, which can help us to build a trust in the business?
Okay, should I answer?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Ramzan, there was one hand raised by Julie Agarwal before that.
Sir, this is me. This is me actually.
Okay, Ramzan
Okay.
bhai is having a profile name Julie Agarwal. Probably what I could
Yes,
understand.
actually, sir, that was another email, so that's why.
Okay, so Ramzan bhai, see, every aspect has both positivity and negativity attached. Okay, if we like moving to Medina, the second biggest intervention which Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did was Medina market.
Yes.
We all agree to it, and that Medina market had no restriction that no non-Muslim could go and sell his or her product there. There were conditions, there were criterias, and whosoever fulfilled those criterias would be allowed to sell in that market. That is one aspect which I want to communicate. Second aspect is that if in case we take the proportionate share of Muslims in India, probably it is officially it is around 20%. Non-officially, people say it's more around 25%. So if in case you only focus your business towards Muslims, uh, there is no substantial viability into your model because majority of the population is non-Muslims. So we always need to consider, we need to take them along. Yeah. Now
Yes.
comes the question whether we should have a partner who is non-Muslim. Yes, of course, if in case that partner has competencies and it could bring in some synergy into your business model, my opinion is that you should have a business partner who is non-Muslim. Okay, because then you get a chance to show what exactly is real Islam to that individual, because your mamlat, your transactions, your day-to-day operations, your routine, those things, those are the things which that individual will come to know personally. If in case that person is a partner to you, he or she might be a friend, might be a colleague, but then being a friend or colleague, you don't have that kind of interaction level where that person knows much about you. But once you have a partner and you are fair and you are justified and honest into your dealing, believe me, that partner is going to substantiate your business objectives. Okay. So my submission is that we ought to have, in case we are getting some competencies, we are getting some characteristics which are not being found in a Muslim partner, we could go for it. And similarly, we should also focus our products and services towards non-Muslims, because they are a big market and they also have big purchasing power as compared to Muslims. Non-Muslims have better purchasing power. They have more propensity to consume, propensity to purchase. So now the thing is that we shouldn't bring religion into our business. We should do business religiously, but then religion should not be made a criteria for dealing with customers, partners, vendors, and other things. It should be a kind of the best possible thing which could be taken up should be taken. Hope it answers.
Yes, sir. Great answer, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zubair Sam.
Jazakallah khair, Saib bhai.
Interesting and very thought-provoking session. Very nicely put. We all benefited a lot from it, and we'll keep in touch, inshallah, in future also.
Inshallah. Jazakallah.
Thanks a lot to everyone. Assalamu alaikum.